Hello, this is Victoria Pendragon. Welcome to my alternate reality. I'm back with part 2 on things pertaining to dying. Because I had 2 more just wonderful stories to tell you. The first is about the father of a man who was a client of mine, who had been, he said, in a kind of a, like a nursing home for the last couple of years, and had been for the last couple of years non-responsive, not in a coma, but non-responsive. And he would have to be picked up, dressed, put in his wheelchair, and left. And he mostly, as I saw him, was just sitting like this. And that's what he did. He just sat until they put him in bed. And sometimes, apparently, he would fall out of bed at night. And of course, just lie there on the floor till someone found him. And it was a very nice place, and no one was doing anything that they shouldn't have been doing, or you know, they would come and pick him up when he fell out of bed, is what I'm trying to say. But when I got there to the place, that is exactly how I found him, sitting in a chair just like that. And all very nicely dressed, you know. Looked like he was just having a little nap. My client left me alone in the room with him, and I began to connect with him. And it was very, very interesting, because unlike the 2 women that I had previously helped with this journey, he was not afraid of anything. He was, in fact, busy. He had an agenda. He was apparently keeping an eye on his sons, of which he had 2, and checking on their lives. He was, I gathered, waiting until the time was right for him to go. So he was very engaged with that, and told me that he wouldn't be leaving for a couple of months yet. He was apparently waiting for something to straighten out with one of the boys. And I thought that was just fine. And then a very unusual thing happened. We were joined. And we were joined by this energy that I could feel and recognized as his mother. It was an energetic mother energy. I didn't know the woman. He was 85 or something, and she had been gone a long time. But I recognized his recognition of her. I recognized her relationship to him. And I just became quiet. I could not tell what was going on between the 2 of them at all. But it did. And so I just waited until it was done. And as soon as she disappeared, for want of a better word, all of a sudden, this man who had been sitting there like this went, "Isn't that the darndest thing?" Went back asleep again. But he completely perked up, just like a perfectly healthy person, spoke out loud and very audibly, and it was just marvelous. It was funny and wonderful, and I was delighted to be able to tell his son about it and to be able to tell him that he would be leaving in a couple of months, which he did. And that was just one of the most delightful things ever. The other story I wanted to relate was about another mother. This time, the woman, the daughter of the mother, was a doctor, a physician. And so she knew, or felt, that considering her mother's condition, the woman really should have died quite some time ago. She said, it's just as if she's holding on, just as if she won't let go. And she sat down and very nicely showed me through the family albums, showed me pictures of her mom when she was younger, you know, with her and her sister. And it was very, very nice. So when I got to meet this woman, I felt as though I knew her to some degree. And I certainly did, because I can read people pretty well just from their photographs. If I can see their eyes, I know who they are. And so I knew who she was. I knew her relationship with her daughters, and and could certainly feel the love from the woman that I was with. However, when I walked into this woman's bedroom, and she was at home, in a very nice big fluffy bed with lots of pillows and kind of propped up on them. But when I walked into the room, she backed up as much as that's possible on a bed and sort of seemed to be trying to get away from me and told her mother to get me out of the room. I obliged, quickly, of course, and suspected that what she had seen was an aura that apparently I get. I don't know how else to describe that. I'm not aware of it. But when I was with a friend who was burying her husband, a man whom I had visited on his deathbed, she said that when I walked into the funeral home, there was a huge white light around me. I was unaware of that happening, but she said it was huge. And I thought, well, maybe this is something to do with my function as a sort of a, I don't know, person who helps people cross. And so I thought, well, if that's it, I'll pull that in, I'll reel that in. Because you can do that, and you can have some control over your aura. And so while I was outside the room, I just pulled it in. And when her mother called me back into the room, I went back in knowing that I was not going to startle her again, or at least I didn't think I would. And in fact, I didn't. She asked me to get her some tea, although I didn't know where the tea was. So her mother sent one of the helpers there out to get tea. And then she left the room, leaving me alone with her mom. And what I came to know almost instantly, because even though this woman could speak and was engaging with people, she wasn't speaking to me. She may have let me back in the room. She wasn't about to chat. We did speak consciousness to consciousness. And she was very guilty. Apparently, when her kids were younger, and her daughter didn't tell me this, but apparently when they were younger, she had spent a lot of time away from them, traveling or whatever. And she felt very guilty that they hadn't had the kind of mothering they deserved. And I could see that they were fine, the kids. I could see it in their picture. I could sense it in the woman I was speaking with. They were fine with that. So the guilt was purely of her own making. And I told her that. I told her that. And told her, too, that again, the moon happened to be fulling, so it was close to full. And the light was bright at night, and I told her about that. And I said, you can go. You know, this is the time, it's an easy time to go when the moon is full. And you'll see clearly. She didn't seem to be afraid or anything, but I just wanted to reassure her that all would be well. And she accepted what I said. And in fact, she went that night. I was fortunate enough to be able to do a funeral service for her as well. I felt like I knew her. And that was very nice, a nice wrap for that. So that's something that I do. It's something that just seems to happen. And it's clearly a bridge between dimensions that I am able to provide for these people. And I love to do it. And they seem to enjoy it as well. So those are all my stories for dying about now. I might have more later. And I will take off and see you again, I hope. Take care.